Part 62. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 612. The fragrance of this tea is light, which makes the pores all over the body relax. Patriarch Huo only felt refreshed, and his body felt a lot lighter. He could even clearly feel his evolutionary energy speeding up at this moment. Evolvers have their own food, drinks, medicinal materials, etc. The Huo family is one of the 4 major families of Liberty Island, and the Huo family owner is naturally very sensitive to these. The Huo family head immediately turned back to the sofa, pressed Huo Yangxing's shoulder suddenly, and said anxiously, "Where did you get this tea? Tell me." Huo Yangxing was stunned for a moment, but calmly replied to the Huo family head with the reason that I fucking gave him, "I found it on the Eternal Continent." After speaking, he was expressionless. Would anyone really believe such a reason? Sometimes it is really difficult to communicate with this Miss Si, and he has to admire Shi Yan. Eternal Continent. Huo's family head patted him on the back excitedly, almost spitting blood on Huo Yangxing. "Well, you kid, you are very lucky." Huo Yangxing, "Dad, do you believe it?" "Nonsense, I just drank this cup of tea in the Eternal Continent." The Huo family sighed slowly, and he sighed, "It's a shame that I didn't know that the tea shop was opened by the senior ghost hand doctor." Wait for my response. When I came back and turned back, it was gone. The more he said, the more regretful he said, "If I can drink a few more glasses, maybe all the bloodlines can be promoted." This happened 7 or 8 years ago. At that time, the Huo family head went to the Eternal Continent to cultivate as usual. He was thirsty halfway, so he just went to a tea shop in the wild and sat down, ordered a cup of tea, and paid a sky-high price. After drinking it, he was going to report to the owner of the tea shop for asking prices. Later, he was told that he did not know the goods. He drank the tea made by the ghost doctor. It was only in the player forum that the news that Ghost Hand and Heavenly Doctor opened a tea shop, but the location of the shop is uncertain, and the appearance of each time is also uncertain. So it triggered a frenzy to find a ghost doctor. It is said that in those few months, the income of each tea shop on the Eternal Continent has doubled several times, and the NPC who opened the tea shop scolded them for being stupid behind their backs. Huo Yangxing's expression froze. "Ghost doctor? Apart from the ghost hand and heavenly doctor, who can make such a tea?" said the Huo family owner. "This tea is of great benefit to the evolutionary. It can relax the muscles and bones, activate blood and remove blood stasis. I'm not the only one who drank this kind of tea on the Eternal Continent. This kind of tea has also been judged by the Intercontinental Research Institute and the Eternal Academy, proving that the ghost hand and heavenly medicine are powerful enough to even change the bloodline of the evolutionary. There are only 2 people who can change the evolutionary lineage in the free state. One is the Lord of the top of the cloud, and the other is the head of the Holy Light Judgment. The ghost doctor is the 3rd person. But the ghost doctor is too mysterious, so far no one knows whether Ta is male or female, old or young." Huo family master patted Huo Yangxing on the shoulder again. "Boy, luck is really good, nothing to say. I think this tea is not as pure as the cup I drank back then, but it is definitely made by ghosts and gods. Where did you get it?" Huo Yangxing pursed his lower lip and reported a coordinate casually. "I picked it up on the road in the wild." "It's the style of a ghost doctor." The Huo family nodded again and again. He coughed, and said solemnly, "Yangxing, this tea." Huo Yangxing pinched his eyebrows, and had to pass the tea that Si fucking gave him to the Huo family. Huo's family head smiled brightly. "Yangxing, if you go to squat again, maybe you will find it again, and I will bring this tea to your grandma to drink." Huo Yangxing sighed. "How is grandma's body?" "It can barely be maintained, but there is no way to eradicate it." Huo family head shook his head. "Tomorrow, I will invite Miss Yin family to show your grandma. It is estimated that there is no hope until her abilities evolve." Huo Yangxing fell silent. I have your aunt locked up. I can't let her make trouble in front of your grandma. Huo's head picked up the tea bag, and his tone became colder. She is really not sober. Huo Yangxing also got up. I won't be back at night, I'll go out to eat. The Huo family master got the tea, and didn't keep him anymore. He waved his hand. Huo Yan went out of Huo's house and took a few detours as usual before hiding in an alley and dialing Yu Xian's phone number. As soon as the call was connected, he lowered his voice and said angrily, "You didn't tell me that your girl is a ghost doctor, and my dad took all the tea she gave me. If he knew that the tea I fucking gave him was so precious, he would not have made tea in front of the Huo family if he was killed." Oh, Yu Xian was not surprised. Her eyebrows raised slightly. Didn't she tell you herself? You said the tea she gave me. Huo Yangxing paused. How could she tell me about such an important thing? How many people in Liberty Island are looking for a ghost doctor? A medicine refined by a ghost hand and a heavenly doctor can sell for a sky-high price on the eternal continent. Yu Xian said in a light voice, this shows that she treats you as her own. Huo Yangxing thought for a moment, does that mean I can? Yu Xian didn't hit him, smiled, good luck. Huo Yangxing was embarrassed to ask Si fucking for a whole box of tea again. He decided to drink a few more cups in the future when the crew was filming. But this box of tea was invaluable. Huo Yangxing thought for a moment and decided to go to the treasure house of the Huo family. Huo Yangxing told Yu Xian to find him for dinner tonight, and then ended the call. Yu Xian lowered her eyelashes and clicked on Si fucking's avatar. Her avatar is very simple. It is a pixie holding gold and chewing on it. There are also the words Gong 11 Fa Cai and Chao Cai Jin Bao on the left and right sides. Why did you think of serving Huo Yan your tea? A few seconds later, a reply jumped out. Because he is your good brother, Brother Ju, you can trust him, that means there is no problem. Yu Xian raised her eyebrows. He really couldn't bear to tell Huo Yangxing that his revolution was still unsuccessful. Intercontinental Research Institute here. With Professor Hornaton present, the qualifications of the research team were quickly approved, and they also received the largest amount of financial support. The person in charge of the management office put the two documents in front of Si fucking and Zhu Ruoan respectively, and said lightly, it's your first time joining the research team and you need to take part in the assessment. The project is completed, you have no merits and titles. The Intercontinental Research Institute is a very pure place, so pure that there are only interests left. There are indeed people like Professor Hornaton and the Dean of the School of Mechanical Engineering who have dedicated themselves to science, but there are too few. Once a researcher is useless, it will be drained of the last benefit, and then discarded. A secret experiment last year directly killed 72 researchers, and was eventually suppressed by the Intercontinental Research Institute, and other residents of Liberty Continent did not know. Si fucking's brows were light, and she opened the document. She just browsed it once and began to write. She has always been fast in doing questions, but without any mess, giving people a very calm feeling. Half an hour later, she stopped writing and handed in her paper. The person in charge was a little surprised. This paper is an hourly format, and the questions are limited to the field of biochemistry. The difficulty is much higher than the International Joint Entrance Examination. How could someone do it so fast? After another 15 minutes, Zhu Ruoan also handed in the papers. The person in charge put away the two papers and took out the key. Your laboratory is on the right, a 09. Lu Xingkai took the key and walked ahead shaking his head. Si fucking thought for a moment and contacted Lu Xingheng, who was still in the Western continent. Is your medical skills recognized as strong in the Free State? Lu Xingheng had a bad feeling. It's okay, what do you want to do? Very good. Si fucking looked happy. From now on, I will be your apprentice. Lu Xingheng. Lu Xingkai was also stunned. Sister Ching Ching, why do you want to be my scumbag's elder brother's apprentice with your medical skills? It can save a lot of unnecessary trouble. I fucking said lightly, you are still young and don't know the dangers of society. The enemy is in the dark, too sharp-edged will sooner or later be the same as her previous life. Oh, I understand. Lu Xingkai suddenly became excited. Brother Scum is a shield, sister Ching Ching, you are so good. Lu Xing hung. After a few seconds, he slowly said, are you still short of a brother? I'll give you one. No, I fucking ruthlessly refused. I already have 2 younger brothers to support. Lu Xingkai was wronged, Baba. Suddenly he seemed to remember something and said loudly, they would be cute without me. Xiaobai glanced at him with disgust, raised a paw and patted his face. Never try to steal the dog owner from it. This slap is just a threat. After all, Xiaobai is only the size of a slap and has no strength. Lu Xing grinned, rubbed his face, and muttered, I can just change my surname to Si. Here, the person in charge of the management office handed over 2 papers to the Institute of Biochemistry. After the results of the 2 people come out, they will be passed on to the Dean of the Biochemical Institute. The door of the Dean's office was knocked at this moment. Yungzi, the Dean of the Institute of Biochemistry, looked up and smiled, come in. Yan Yungzi walked in, President. She glanced at it, saw the name on the computer screen, and snorted. The Dean of the Institute of Biochemistry laughed again. It was the first in the International Joint Entrance Examination, but she didn't choose to enter the Intercontinental Research Institute at that time, and lost 5 months of time. It's dead. Yan Yungzi smiled calmly, President, she is my sister. She's also from the Yin family. The Dean of the School of Biochemistry was a little surprised. Why didn't she know you during the interview for the international entrance exam? Yan Yungzi smiled lightly, there are many people in the Yin family, and I don't know all of them, not to mention she doesn't have an evolutionary bloodline. The Dean of the Institute of Biology nodded and understood, it turns out that it is a pity. She said and opened the sealed document. Yan Yungzi did not move. She also wanted to see how many points Si fucking could get on the test. Always let Si fucking know that Liberty Island is not a place where everyone can stay. Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 613. The Dean of the Biochemical Institute opened the sealed bag. Wish Ruoan's papers are in front. The paper was based on a 100-point system, and Zhu Ruoan got a score of 72, which was a high score among all foreigners in the Intercontinental Research Institute. The Dean of the Institute of Biochemistry suddenly frowned, Yungzi, I remember this name, she seems to have been assigned to your group, why did she go to another group? Yan Yungzi's heart tightened, but her face did not show the slightest change, she is not suitable. Your research team, it's up to you to decide. The Dean of the Institute of Biochemistry didn't say more, picked up Si fucking's paper, and couldn't help but say huh. She sighed again and again, as expected to be the first in the International Joint Entrance Examination, to be able to score 80 points is amazing. Yan Yungzi also saw 82 on the paper, and her calm expression changed instantly. She took the preparatory class at the Intercontinental Research Institute before she passed the 77 exam. Si fucking had never entered Liberty Island at all, how could it be possible that she was higher than her in the exam? The Dean of the School of Biochemistry began to carefully check Si fucking's scores for each question, but unfortunately he could not find any points that could be added. 85 points is a watershed. If Si fucking gets 85 points, she will definitely report to the committee of the institute. It's a pity it's only 3 points short. And when he saw the score of the last question, Yan Yungzi's smile could no longer be maintained. She joined the research team the year before, and naturally participated in the assessment. The difficulty of the assessment is the same every year. If Si fucking only scored 82 points, she would not care too much, but Si fucking was only 1 point higher than her in every question. Isn't this really deliberately mocking and humiliating her? The dean of the Institute of Biochemistry also discovered this pattern, and was a little surprised. Youngzi, it's no wonder that she and you are both from Yin's family. Your level is similar, and she happens to be a little higher than you. She spends more time studying than me. Yin Yongzi pinched her palm and smiled slightly. Without the evolutionary bloodline, naturally I can only exert more strength in other fields. The Yin family is a genius. The dean of the Institute of Biochemistry nodded. This is their researcher certificate, send it to you. Yin Yongzi didn't want to go at all. But for the sake of it, she had to take over the research certificates of Sci-fi and Zuruoan, and was very unwilling to be an errand worker. Seeing Sci-fi taking over the certificate of the institute, Yin Yongzi finally couldn't hold back and blurted out, "Did you do it on purpose?" "Oh," Sci-fi raised his eyebrows and applauded unhurriedly, "You discovered this, you're smart." Yin Yongzi's chest was heaving with anger, and she sneered, "You can blow it hard. I might as well tell you that the losses your father and your uncle have brought to the Yin family are irreparable and reversible, and you want to be the Yin family. The heir, not far behind. You don't have to worry about it." Sci said with a light expression, "Don't mess with me, this is my last advice to you." Yin Yongzi glanced at Sci-Fucking's cell phone with some trepidation. She is not afraid of Sci-Fucking, but she is afraid that Sci-Fucking will call Yin Yaonian and Nian Yin. It can only rely on others. Yin Yongzi did not think that Sci-Fucking deliberately took this test. It's just a coincidence. How could someone even control the scores of the papers used for the researcher's assessment? But it was like a slap slapped on her face, making her unable to swallow her breath. Yin Yongzi pursed her lips and left with a livid face. In the laboratory, Sci shoved the researcher certificate into his pocket. She also didn't expect that after so many years, the assessment papers were still the same set that was recycled back then. Means nothing. Zuruoan was very curious, why is she so angry? She's going to explode. Oh, Sci said, ashamed, I accidentally weighed her down on every question. Zuruoan. As expected of you. At the same time, the Huo family was in the opposite direction to the Intercontinental Research Institute. The Huo family master made tea with his own hands. He smelled the aroma of the tea a few times, and then reluctantly handed the teacup to Mrs. Huo. Mrs. Huo took a sip of tea and was refreshed immediately. She was a little surprised. What kind of tea is this? Mom, it's tea made by ghosts and heavenly doctors. Huo family head smiled. Yangzing boy is lucky, he even picked up a whole box on Eternal Continent, and rushed to honor you. You brought everything he picked up. Mrs. Huo slapped the head of the Huo family with an angry slap. Huo Tianwen, you just caught your son and stabbed it, or you are not a father. Huo Tianwen, Mom, if you have something to say, you can scold me. Don't hit me. If it spreads out, where will my face go? What kind of face do you have? Mrs. Huo coughed violently. I'll just drink a bag, and you can give it to the banquet. Huo Tianwen was helpless. Mom, Yan Xing told me just now that he can still find it again, so you can drink it. It's good for your health. I heard from the servant that you had a nightmare again when you slept at noon today. Mrs. Huo was stunned. After a long silence, she murmured, yes, I dreamed of my poor Yun Jian again. She asked me if I was doing well. Huo Patriarch also fell silent without saying a word. Only at this time, he didn't know how to comfort Mrs. Huo. Back then, when Mrs. Huo was 8 months pregnant, she received an urgent mission from the Eternal Academy and had to go to the Eternal Continent to fight. The final task was completed, but the fetal gas was disturbed, and Mrs. Huo gave birth to a pair of twins prematurely. One is Huo Yunjian, who died at birth, and the other is Huo Shiyun, who has no evolutionary blood. Mrs. Huo also fell into the root of the disease and had to quit the law enforcement team of Eternal Academy. The middle-aged period did not have much impact, and after getting old, the situation became more and more serious. Although it will not endanger life, it also greatly reduces Mrs. Huo's strength. The Huo family hired famous doctors, but there was no way for Mrs. Huo to recover completely. After Mrs. Huo finished her tea, she closed her eyes and said softly, "Go out and leave me alone." Huo Tianwen sighed softly, "Mom, you have a good rest." He backed out, and it was not a good feeling for a while. If Mrs. Huo hadn't done the task at that time, he would definitely have a pair of healthy and pure twin sisters now. Too bad it's all life. Cannot be changed. As usual, Huo Tianwen went to wander around his treasure house. This is his private treasury, which is full of treasures he has collected from various places, many of which are from the Eternal Continent. Huo Tianwen turned around and suddenly realized that something very important was missing from the treasury. He frowned and stood in the empty space to think hard, and suddenly found that a pure gold Pixio statue he had dug from the Eternal Continent was gone. Gold is not really a precious thing in Liberty Island, but Pixio has the good intention of attracting wealth and treasure, so he specially carried it back and placed it in the center of the treasure house. What about his Pixio? At this time, Huo Yangxing had already brought the pure gold Pixio statue to find Sci-fi. When there were still dozens of meters away, Xiaobai smelled the aroma of the food. It rubbed and jumped up, and immediately ran forward. "Mrs. I," Huo Yangxing greeted. He ignored Huo Tianwen's robbing of his things, and only said that the tea ingredients were too expensive, and he would also take out the treasure. Huo Yangxing heard that Yu Ejian and Yu Xian both said that Mrs. I was very interested in gold, so he brought the Pixio statue that Huo Tianwen had treasured for a long time. Sci-fi did not refuse and accepted. Unlike in the past, Xiaobai did not drool, and his purple eyes sparkled. Sci-fi touched his chin and said thoughtfully, "Hey, it's exactly the same as you." Xiaobai turned around the Pixio statue and nodded with satisfaction. "Yes, it has its style. The sun is coming out in the west, and you don't even plan to eat it." Sci-Fu raised his eyebrows. "You said you are offering it? Where are you offering it when it's so big? Have you forgotten how old you are?" Xiaobai's expression was very resentful. "Do you want to build another temple for you?" "Ow! What are you dreaming about?" Xiaobai stretched out his paws angrily. "Dog's owner. Bullying it is now weak and pitiful. When it restores its majestic image of auspicious beast one day, it will definitely not give the dog owner a step-by-step tool." "Okay, I won't tease you anymore, I'll keep it for you." Sci-fi sighed, "I really don't know when you will recover, and you have enough to eat?" Xiaobai's origin is also a mystery. She picked it up in the forest and has been following her since she was 7 years old. She has never seen a second such auspicious beast. Fortunately, she now has a small vault and can still afford it. The next day, Sci-fi and Yin Yaonian accompany Nian Yian to participate in the assessment of the inner courtyard of the Eternal Academy. The Eternal Academy is located in the east of the Free State, on an island in the Inland Sea. Yin Yaonian also came for the first time. When he saw that many evolutionaries were fighting in the sky and on the ground, he was also a little surprised. Nian Yian couldn't help wrapping her clothes tightly. "Sister, I really can't hang up while walking on the road. Why did they start fighting in school? No teacher came out to stop it?" As soon as he finished speaking, 2 golden beams of light fell in front of him, and 2 black holes instantly appeared on the ground. Nian Yian jumped up in shock. "Sister Ching Ching, murdered." Sci-fi suddenly realized. She glanced at the woman who was fighting against another evolutionary person. Her eyes can launch shockwaves and split the alloy. There are quite a lot of such evolutionary people, get used to it. Nian Yian. It seemed he was making a fuss. He must learn to get used to it. "Let's go." Sci-fi lowered the brim of his hat and put his hands in his pockets. The 3 walked to the entrance of the inner courtyard, which was even grander than the outer courtyard. The huge buildings are row upon row, brilliant and sacred. Nian Yan frowned and suddenly said, "Why is it her again? It's like a ghost." Si fucking looked over, and the fox's eyes narrowed lightly. Yin Yongzi was waiting here specially. Seeing the three of them coming, he pretended to be surprised and took 2 steps forward. "Uncle Yeonian, come to send Yin to participate in the assessment." Yin Yongzi said hello with a smile, "But if you can go in, your niece can't go in. Without the blood of an evolutionary, the door of the inner courtyard will be automatically blocked. How does Si fucking get in? See you tomorrow." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 614. Do you really think that just by relying on Nianyan and Yin Yaonian, you can live happily in the free continent? In the entire Intercontinental Research Institute, Si fucking was only a B, an informal member, and not a genius. Facts have proved that an ordinary person can only move an inch in free continent. Yin Yongzi had arrived at Eternal College a few days ago and received his freshman student ID card. She came here so early today specifically because she wanted to see Si fucking's jokes. If Si fucking could not enter the inner courtyard with Yin Yaonian, Nian Yin, and his son, in a place like Eternal College where fighting is everywhere, Si fucking would lose his life accidentally. The Yin family prohibits direct descendants from killing each other, and Yin Yongzi will not be stupid enough to do it himself. But if Si fucking accidentally dies in the fight between other evolutionaries, it has nothing to do with her. Yin Yaonian ignored Yin Yongzi at all and just said calmly, "Let's go." Nian Yin took out the temporary student card sent to him by Eternal College and swiped it at the entrance. "Diddy diddy." A cheerful voice rang out, and the administrator's eyes lit up. "Mr. Nian, right? Someone is already waiting for you." Nian Yin glanced at Si fucking first, and then took a step forward. Yin Yaonian followed. The two passed through the gate unharmed. When it was Si fucking's turn, she stepped forward unhurriedly. Yin Yongzi stared at her closely, her blood boiling. Drop. The door made a sound, and Si fucking walked inside. She was intact, not even a strand of hair twitching. Yin Yongzi's pupils shrank suddenly. Before she could realize what was going on, the administrator suddenly made a surprised voice, "Do you have a 4-star Eternal account?" He didn't feel any fluctuations in the Evolver's energy on Si fucking's body, and the door responsible for detecting it didn't respond either. Then there is only one other reason. Eternal accounts with 4 stars or above can also pass through the door of the inner courtyard. Si fucking hummed and said lazily, "It was a gift from someone else." After hearing this, the administrator suddenly lost interest. He waved his hand and let the 3 of them go in. He leaned back on the chair and closed his eyes to relax. Si fucking asked politely, "Hello, students from the outer courtyard cannot enter the inner courtyard, right?" The administrator was already drowsy, but when he heard this, he glanced at Si fucking and said, "Of course, you must pass the assessment." "That's it." Si fucking then raised his head and his eyes fell on Yin Yongzi outside the door. "It's a pity that you have the blood of an evolver, so the door won't block you, but you can't get in." Yin Yongzi's face became distorted for the first time, and she was furious. "Si fucking, you have to rely on others for the rest of your life." She also has a 4-star Eternal account, which she obtained in exchange for her meritorious service in the Evolutionary Alliance. Why can Si fucking get it for nothing? Yin Yongzi could only watch helplessly as Si fucking she left. Her chest heaved violently and she was very angry. She dug her nails into her palms, trying to calm down the anger in her chest. She was not as experienced as Si fucking. Yin Yongzi turned around and left, going to Huo's house to see Mrs. Huo. Here, as soon as Sci-fi entered the inner courtyard, she felt the energy of several evolvers passing through her body. Her eyes narrowed slightly, she raised her hand to press the brim of her hat, and continued walking calmly. Not far away, many students stopped in front of a huge light curtain. There are densely packed names on the light curtain. Nian Yian had excellent eyesight, and he saw Odelia Lotbar and Kukaki Minjiao on the light screen. What's this? Freshman, that's the eternal ranking. They are all the geniuses of the inner courtyard. A young man passing by introduced enthusiastically, the senior brothers and sisters who can be on the eternal ranking are the ones who can single-handedly enter the top 10 most dangerous places in the eternal continent. Out. Before coming to Free Continent, Nian Yian had already heard Sci-fi talk about some precautions about the inner courtyard, but this was the first time he heard about the eternal list. He looked directly at the first position on the list, but found that there were no names from the first to the fourth list. The young man became even more excited and twisted into a maggot. Those are the eternal four. They were already legends when I entered the inner courtyard. There is no task that they cannot complete. It would be worth it in my life if I could meet them. Brother, you study hard and maybe you can be on the eternal ranking by then. Before leaving, the young man patted Nian Yian on the shoulder and encouraged him. Nian Yian was a little nervous. Sister Ching Ching, your two netizens are already so strong, but they are still outside the top 20. How strong is that eternal foursome? Not strong, Sci-fi said calmly. What's the use of being strong? You will die if you are strong. Nian Yian was stunned for a moment. In a blink of an eye, the three of them had arrived at the assessment office. The assessment was conducted in eternity and lasted for 3 days. This year, the inner courtyard recruited a total of 50 people, but 5,000 people took the assessment. In addition to the specially invited students, these 5,000 people are all outstanding people from the outer courtyard. At a glance, A-level evolvers, who are very precious in the outside world, are everywhere here. Uncle, I'm leaving first. Sci-fi nodded slightly. The assessments in the inner courtyard are easier than the trainings taught by my assistant teacher Yin, so you don't have to worry too much. Okay. Yin Yaonian hesitated for a moment. Ching Ching, you must protect yourself and don't be too tired. There are some things that he won't ask about. He knows that Sci-fi has his own secrets. He didn't care about this, he just wanted her to live a peaceful life. Otherwise, he would have no face to face the Yin Baikan couple. Don't worry, Uncle. Sci-fi waved his hand lazily. I have a dog. I can let the dog bite people. Ziobai is super fierce. Ouch. It is Pixiu. Go back, it's not safe here either. Yin Yaonian said. I'll wait here for Yin to come out. Sci-fi nodded, left Eternal College and went to Intercontinental Research Institute. On the other side, the Huo family. Huo Tianwen made another cup of tea for Mrs. Huo. This tea really made Madame Huo feel better, so he urged Huo Yangxing to go to Eternal Continent to pick up a few more boxes. Old Madame the housekeeper knocked on the door. Miss Yin is here. Mrs. Huo doesn't like seeing doctors and is very stubborn. Tianwen, I think my body is quite light. Please let her leave. Okay. Huo Tianwen has always been filial, then rest, I'll say no. He got up and went out. Yin Yongzi was waiting in the living room. She was a little cautious. This is her first time coming to Huo's house. Among the 4 major families in Free Continent, the Ye family is the well-deserved number 1, followed by the Yu family and the Huo family in 3rd place. But the Huo family is more than 10 times larger than the Yin family. Yin Yongzi's eyes flashed slightly. This strengthened her idea that she must establish a foothold in Free Continent. Miss Yin, I'm so sorry that I made your trip in vain. Huo Tianwen's tone was polite and distant. The old lady's health has improved a lot, so you don't need to see me. Yin Yongzi's expression paused, and she was a little embarrassed. Uncle Huo, can I ask why? Huo Tianwen didn't hide anything, it was my boy who picked up the tea from the ghost hand doctor. The Huo family has a lot of spies, and the news has long been spread, so there is no use hiding it. Tea from the ghost hand heavenly doctor. Yin Yongzi was startled, but she quickly calmed down. Uncle Huo, can I buy a pack from you? There was really too little information about the ghost hand heavenly doctor, and she was eager to know how powerful this miracle doctor was. No, the Huo family owner immediately refused. This tea has a price but no market. There is absolutely no way I can sell it. One box seems like a lot, but there are only 24 bags of tea. It's not enough for Mrs. Huo to drink alone. Yin Yongzi's smile froze, and she whispered softly, Uncle Huo, I just want to test the formula of this bag of tea. If it can be mass-produced, the old lady's condition will be supported. How is it possible? The Huo family leader was extremely surprised. If you take it back and test it and you can find out what the formula is, then why do you call it a ghost hand heavenly doctor? Not to mention testing it myself, even if the ghost hand heavenly doctor directly announced the formula, no one would be able to make the same medicine as him. How much of each medicinal material is used, only the ghost hand heavenly doctor knows. And he is extremely good at using poison. If it were anyone else, if he used it a little more, the life-saving medicine would turn into poison. This has happened before. Someone asked for the medicine from the ghost hand heavenly doctor, and because of his cleverness, he wanted to mass-produce it, so he sent it to the testing center for testing. But the result was that the life-saving medicine was gone and the person died. Yin Yongzi's face felt a little hot, and she was a little embarrassed. Okay, I know you have good intentions. Huo Tianwen waved his hand, but you can't compare with the ghost hand heavenly doctor. This is the consultation fee. You can keep it? He asked the steward to send a few pieces of ore that would be beneficial to evolvers. Yin Yongzi forced a smile, thank you, Uncle Huo. She took the ore and left, her frustration reaching its peak. How long has it been since Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor became famous? There is a 80% chance that she is an old man. She is still young and has a long way to go. Why can't she be compared? Yin Yongzi held back her breath and returned to the institute. It was very noisy at the entrance of the great laboratory building. Someone panicked, where are the people from the medical school? Go to the medical school to find someone. Yin Yongzi squinted her eyes and realized that a researcher assistant had suddenly fallen ill and passed out. The scene was chaotic. To Yin Yongzi's surprise, Sci-fi actually took a step forward and squatted down in front of the assistant, whose face was already purple. He also held his pulse in a decent manner and took out the silver needle. Yin Yongzi narrowed her eyes and took 2 steps forward. Okay, Fuqing, don't make fun of other people's lives just because you are angry with me. You don't know how to heal. Let me take a look. Maybe he still has a chance of survival. Although Sci-fi got a higher score than her in the examination of the Institute of Biochemistry and Medicine are also related to a certain extent, whether she can save people is not just talk on paper. When she was checking Sci-fi, she learned that Sci-fi had participated in a medical workplace observation reality show. But a reality show is a reality show, and it doesn't really count as anything. The faces of other people around him changed when they heard Yin Yongzi's words. If you don't know how to treat someone, why did you take the initiative to come out? Sci-fi didn't look up and laughed softly, really? What a coincidence, medical skills are the field where she truly rules. There are always people who don't have such a long memory. Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 615. Otherwise, the 300 years of medical skills she had learned from the Lord of Ghost Valley in the holographic game would have been in vain. The title of Heavenly Doctor with Ghost Hands is second to none, but it does have a certain degree of deterrence. Why not? I have never heard that you know how to heal. Yin Yongzi shook his head. Human life is at stake, so let me do it. Yin Yongzi's appearance caused a stir in the crowd, and many people obviously recognized her. It's the eldest lady of the Yin family. She is the only healing evolver. Miss Yin can save even evolved people. Ordinary people can definitely do it too. Let Miss Yin save people quickly. Hey. If you don't know how, don't do it. Sci-fi had a serious look on his face. He first inserted a few silver needles into his assistant's key points, then pinched his chin open and stuffed a pill into it. After all this was done, the assistant slowly stopped twitching, but then he tilted his head and passed out. The middle-aged man who was guarding the assistant changed his expression and said sharply, "What did you do?" The faces of the people around him also changed. "It's over, you're hurting people. This is bad. Someone is dead. Where is the cavalry?" Yin Yongzi sighed, "I told you I would come. Look, you have caused a murder in Free Continent, and the Yin family can't help you deal with it." She looked worried, but in her heart she was gloating. When the cavalry arrive in a while, Sci-fi will be sent to the Holy Light Judgment Center, where he will be dead. Yin Yongzi smiled gently and said to the middle-aged man, "Sir, I am a doctor. Let me see if your assistant can save her." She took a few steps forward, but was stopped by the middle-aged man. His voice trembled with excitement. "No, no need. I was wrong. There is no need to continue the treatment." Yin Yongzi's smile froze for a moment, and she suspected that she heard wrongly. "What? He's breathing," the middle-aged man cried with joy. "He's breathing." Cough cough cough, a violent cough sounded. After a few seconds, the assistant opened his eyes, and the color gradually returned to his face. His expression was still a little dazed, but he had obviously returned to normal. Yin Yongzi's smile disappeared completely. Her ears buzzed, and she looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief. Sci-fi actually cured someone. "Miss, thank you." The middle-aged man immediately stood up and thanked Sci-fi. "Thank you for saving him." "You're welcome," Sci-fi said in a lazy tone. "My teacher often says that doctors are like parents, and it is a doctor's bounden duty to save people." These words made the middle-aged man stand in awe. "May I ask who Miss C's teacher is?" Yin Yongzi also listened attentively. Sci-fi said calmly, "Lu family, Lu Xingheng." The whole place suddenly fell silent. Lu Xingkai's mouth twitched. His eldest brother is a doctor and a parent? What a joke. When word of this spread, his eldest brother himself didn't believe it. From consultation fees to surgery fees, Lu Xingheng took the word black heart to the extreme. It turns out that he is the apprentice of divine Dr. Lu. The middle-aged man suddenly realized, no wonder Miss C's medical skills are so high. People around were also whispering. Divine Dr. Lu actually accepted a disciple. Mr. Lu's heart is as high as the heavens. If he can take the initiative to recruit disciples, this young lady must be special. Yin Yongzi frowned, feeling a little uncomfortable. No wonder Sci-fi was able to join Lu Xingkai's research team, and she turned out to be Lu Xinggen's apprentice. Yin Yongzi suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis. Although the Lu family is not a top family in Free Continent, they are still local residents of Free Continent and have a certain say. Sci-fi has such a relationship with the Lu family. Wouldn't the Yin family be biased in choosing successors in the future? Thinking of this, Yin Yongzi's palms became sweaty. She must get to know more people as soon as possible and have enough chips to crush the Yin Yaonian family. At this time, the cavalry from the Holy Light Judgment stationed at the Intercontinental Research Institute also arrived. The cavalry commander scanned the surroundings with sharp eyes. "Who saved just now?" Sci-fi looked calm. "It's me." "Oh? Did you cure his sudden illness?" The cavalry commander's eyes fell on the girl, full of aggression. "Why do you know how to heal?" Sci-fi spoke calmly. "I am more interested in medical skills. I participated in a reality show about medical student workplace observation, and I happened to meet Dr. Lu. He taught me some medical skills, and I studied them day and night in eternity. I am still far from being the same as Divine Dr. Lu, but I will work harder. The cavalry commander narrowed his eyes but did not speak. Until the cavalryman beside him handed over a piece of information. The information records everything that happened to Sci-fi from childhood to adulthood. As a variety show popular throughout the Great Xia Empire, the birth of a new staff naturally recorded it emphatically. There is no discrepancy with what she said, and the logic is completely consistent. The cavalry commander's expression relaxed. Since Miss Si is a doctor, she is a talent from Free Continent. If Miss Si encounters any emergency in the future, you can contact us. As he spoke, he handed over a business card. Si took it. Thank you very much. The tension dissipated only after the cavalry left. The middle-aged man breathed a sigh of relief and said with lingering fear, Miss Si, it's like this. They were worried that spies from the revenge organization would break into the institute, so they conducted an interrogation. You have done an upright job, so there is no need to worry. A spy from revenge. Yes, they are really becoming more and more arrogant. Last year, several researchers died in their assassinations. Alas. Si nodded and said, that's it? Doctors are a scarce profession everywhere. After seeing Si superb medical skills, many researchers exchanged contact information with Si, and no one paid attention to Yin Yongzi anymore. For the first time, Yin Yongzi experienced the feeling of being ignored, which made her feel so frightened that she almost broke her teeth. She chose cellular genes as her research topic, and Si also chose this direction, and even called Zuru Yuan, whom she had screened out. She knew how to heal, and Si showed off her medical skills. Why do you like to confront her so much? Yin Yongzi took a deep breath, lowered his head and left in a hurry. Here, Si escaped from the surroundings of the researchers and returned to the laboratory with Lu Xingkai. Sister Ching Ching, the reason you just gave is a bit false, Lu Xingkai said in a low voice. My eldest brother only knows how to cheat other people's money. He has no parental heart at all. Oh, Si touched his chin, then your eldest brother is better than me. In the past, she would only save someone if she saw death, or depending on her mood. Lu Xingkai was a little resentful. My eldest brother has been promoted for nothing. I must let my mother take care of him. The news that Lu Xingheng had accepted his apprentice spread immediately, and the Lu family naturally knew about it. Mother Lu was very concerned about her son and made a special call to Lu Xingheng, son, why didn't you tell mom that you had accepted a disciple? Also, your apprentice is much better than you. He is a doctor with a parental heart, but you are a black-hearted sage. Alas, no wonder no girl likes you. You are not as good as you. Lu Xingheng. He works as a teacher for Si. Si is almost considered his ancestor. Okay, he couldn't beat Si, so he had to surrender. He recognized this shield. The next day, the Huo family. After drinking tea for 2 days, Mrs. Huo's complexion improved a lot and she was able to get out of bed and move around. Huo Yunjian died young. Huo Shiyun was an ordinary person, and Mrs. Huo left all her love to Huo Shiyun. But when Huo Shiyun wanted the new armor developed by the Intercontinental Research Institute, she also strongly disagreed. Shiyun, you are from the Huo family. No one in Free Continent will touch you. Mrs. Huo closed her eyes and sighed longly, isn't it unsafe? Huo Shiyun opened her mouth, Mom, Okay, Shiyun, Mom just hopes you can live well. Mrs. Huo said, your sister is gone, so nothing can happen to you. No matter how Huo Shiyun begged, Mrs. Huo still rejected her request and asked the housekeeper to send her back to the room. Huo Shiyun was so angry that she threw all the bowls and chopsticks on the table to the ground. The maid was startled and hurriedly stepped forward. "Miss Shiyun. Do you also think I'm useless?" Huo Shiyun's tears began to fall. "I just want to become stronger, am I wrong? She has no evolutionary bloodline. Although she is a direct descendant of the Huo family, even the revenge organization looks down on her." The maid didn't dare to speak. "What does her death have to do with me?" Huo Shiyun gritted her teeth. "It's her own bad luck. I don't have the blood of an evolver yet." She has no feelings for Huo Yunjian. At the same time, she was quite happy that Huo Yunjian was gone, otherwise what would happen if Huo Yunjian diverted the attention of Mrs. Huo and Huo Tianwen? The maid hesitated for a moment. "Miss Shiyun, why don't you mention it to the young master of Yangzing, maybe he can help you." "Him?" Huo Shiyun became even more angry. "He never says hello when he sees me. When did he treat me as an ant?" Huo Yangzing's temperament followed that of his father Huo Tianwen, but he was more cold and taciturn. Not surprisingly, he is the next head of the Huo family. Huo Shiyun also has a son, but the evolution level is not high, only B level. This is also what she dislikes about Huo Yangzing. Huo Shiyun was upset. She stood up and said, "I'll go out and ask the guards not to follow me." The maid didn't dare to stop her. "Yes, Miss Shiyun. Because she has no evolutionary bloodline, Huo Shiyun is considered a celebrity in Free Continent, and the dignitaries all know her. They know that she is backed by the Huo family but have no deterrent power, so naturally they will not take action against her." Huo Shiyun took the Huo family's token and entered the inner courtyard of Eternal College. When a woman saw her, her eyes lit up and she immediately stepped forward. "Miss Shiyun. How's it going? Is your son sure about entering the inner courtyard?" Huo Shiyun asked casually. She has no evolved blood, so she needs to recruit evolved people to do things for her. The woman hesitated and said, "It's a bit dangerous. He is now number 51, so I want to ask Miss Huo for help." One place short, Huo Shiyun frowned, glanced at the current real-time ranking, and his eyes fell on the three words Nian Yin. She knew the surnames of 49 of the first 50 people, but she had never heard of the surname Nian. It can only be civilians. Just enough space to make room. The Huo family cannot afford to offend a commoner. Huo Shiyun said calmly, "Just let Nian Yin withdraw. See you tomorrow." After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 616. Among the many forces in Liberty Island, the four major families are in the second echelon. The first is the Intercontinental Institute and the Eternal Academy. The Holy Light Judgment and the Top of the Cloud are not among them because of their special nature. However, when discussing the major events of Liberty Island, the head of the Holy Light Judgment and the Lord of the Clouds have a veto power. There is no shortage of wealth in Liberty Continent. As long as you can enter Liberty Continent, you will not have any worries about food, clothing, housing, and transportation. The Holy Light Judgment will issue subsidies every month. In this case, the gap between the classes is particularly obvious. The woman's surname is Yan and her name is Yunping. She comes from the Yan family, which is considered a medium-sized family in Liberty Island. But there are more than 100 medium-sized families in Liberty Island. Such a medium-sized family is nothing in front of the Huo family. As an ordinary person, Huo Shiyun is still deeply favored in the Huo family. Indeed, many people are fawning on her and want to rely on her to gain the favor of the Huo family. Huo Shiyun also enjoys this kind of pursuit very much. She doesn't have any fighting ability, and she doesn't have the genius IQ to let her enter the Intercontinental Research Institute. Only in this way can she experience the feeling of holding power. Hearing her say this, Yan Yunping's eyes lit up, but she was still a little worried. "Miss Shiyun, can this person be a special recruit? In case. Special admissions," Huo Shiyun smiled, "then don't care. Does special admissions refer to outsiders from Liberty Island?" It seems that his family is counting on him to gain a firm foothold in Liberty Island. I just want to go to Liberty Island. I don't have to go to the inner hospital. The death rate in the inner hospital is much higher than that in the outer hospital. How many people can graduate successfully every year? The inner courtyard recruits students 4 times a year, with 50 students each time. If the strength wants to reach the level of graduation, that is, after entering the top 10 evil places, they can come out smoothly, or they can encounter the top 10 evil NPCs and not die. With such results, 5 people out of 100 people are considered good data. The Eternal Academy has been established for more than 100 years, but there are not even 100 people on the Eternal ranking. Give him enough benefits and let him quit. Huo Shiyun didn't care. There is not enough family background to support him in the inner court, and he will die in the game sooner or later. Miss Shiyun still has the foresight. Yan Yunping also smiled. In the future, if this kid from my family enters the inner courtyard, Miss Shiyun will definitely not be disappointed. Huo Shiyun snorted lightly. I have already shown you what to do, you can do the rest yourself. Yan Yunping is very respectful. Yes, Miss Shiyun. She sent Huo Shiyun away and stared at the current ranking. Nian Yan is stable in the 49th place, but his strength is quite stable. Yan Yunping had concerns in her heart, so she contacted the housekeeper at home and asked the housekeeper to check Nian Yan's information. Intercontinental Research Institute here. Sci-fi and Lu Xingkai finished formulating the experimental plan, and then selected a few people from the list given by Professor Hornaton to officially start the experimental research. She and Lu Xing resigned to get the experimental instruments from the Mechanical Institute, and passed by the dean's office. Across the window, Lu Xingkai took a look. An elderly man was sitting in front of the computer in a daze, obviously not in the state. Sister Ching Ching, you may not know that there was a big explosion in Liberty Continent more than 4 years ago, and many people died. Lu Xingkai whispered. The youngest S-class researcher also died. She is Dean Su's beloved apprentice, and Dean Su has been hit hard because of this, and she has not participated in any experiments in the past 4 years. Si fell silent, his fingers tightened little by little. She has learned a lot and has a lot of corresponding teachers. Dean Su of the Mechanical Academy is one of them. The concept of anti-gravity invincible armor was proposed by him, and she took over and continued to study it. But it was impossible for her to see him now. Rather than letting Dean Su continue to be decadent, it is better than his death. Si lowered his eyelashes, took out a sachet from his pocket, and handed it to Lu Xingkai. Lu Xingkai was very happy. Sister Ching Ching, is this for me? Are you finally going to recognize me as your brother? Not for you. I put some medicinal materials in the sachet, which can nourish the mind and chi, and it is good for the heart to wear it for a long time. Si explained. I see that this director Su is now blue and black, and his face is not good. I feel bad in my heart. You go and give it to him. Lu Xingkai nodded, and immediately ran to the door and knocked. President Su. After 3 consecutive calls, the door was opened. It's Xiaosai. Lu Xingkai's name as a child prodigy is very loud, and Dean Su also knows him. Come in, is there anything your master wants me to help with? Lu Xingkai shook his head. No, someone gave you a sachet, it's good for your body, you have to wear it well. Dean Su was stunned for a while, and took the sachet over. The moment he held the sachet in his hand, an unprecedented strong sense of familiarity flooded into his heart. His hand couldn't help shaking. Who gave it? It's my sister Ching Ching. Lu Xing spoke nonsense with a serious conscience. She is a doctor in the heart of her parents, and she has the true biography of my eldest brother. Dean Su's expression dimmed. Is that so? He wanted to refuse, but there was always a voice in his heart telling him to accept it. He hesitated for half a second, and finally put it in his pocket. Lu Xing dismissed and went out, closed the door, and sighed. President Su has been hit too hard. Si didn't speak. She looked back at Dinsu, who was staring at the computer in a daze. She felt like a stone had fallen in her heart, causing her chest to feel tight. That computer, she remembered, was the first computer she assembled. Dinsu, like the master of Ghost Valley, is a teacher who teaches her knowledge by hand, even more intimate than her master. Lu Xingkai suddenly said again, but this is also a good thing, because President Su has been decadent for 4 years and has not contributed at all. The Revenge Organization has removed him from the must-kill list. I fucking squinted, it's really a good thing. Do you know where you are on their must-kill list? I don't know. Lu Xingkai scratched his head, and suddenly became dejected. Anyway, my eldest brother must be ranked higher than me, who made him a doctor. For the Revenge Organization, if a genius doctor like Lu Xingheng cannot be recruited, it must be eliminated. I fucking nodded slightly. At this moment, a message came in from the phone. It was Yu Zion. Are you done? Just finished. Come around here? With a ding, he sent an address. The address shows that it is Akaishi Mine. Akaishi Mine, one of the 8 major veins. I fucking didn't react yet. Xiaobai jumped up excitedly, biting her clothes with his teeth and supporting her to go out. I fucking. Reverse girl. She was more excited to see the money than she was. I fucking. And Lu Xingkai said hello and left the Intercontinental Research Institute. Huo Yangxing's car was parked in an alley outside the research institute and was responsible for picking her up to the Chishi mine. Many years ago, for a period of time, the 8 major ore veins of Liberty Continent have been uninherited, because it is said that the key of the ore vein has been thrown into the corner of the Eternal Continent, and it is estimated to be one of the 10 fierce places. In the past few years, many people, including the Dean of Eternal Academy, were looking for the key to the ore vein. It's a pity that the more advanced the NPCs in Eternal, the more unpredictable their temperament, difficult to approach, and stronger than the real person's personality. As long as they don't want to, players can't get useful words out of their mouths. Akaishi Mine is not the largest ore vein, but its scale is already larger than other ore veins that SI fucking has seen. All kinds of red ores were embedded on the wall of the ore vein. Xiaobai was drooling when he saw it, and green light flashed from the purple beast pupil. As soon as it withdrew its hind legs, it was ready to go, and when it was about to pounce in front of the ore, it couldn't move. SI fucking lifted it up with one hand. Nirvana. Don't you only eat gold? Xiaobai straightened out his small breasts confidently, and squeaked twice. Indicates that it can also eat ores of higher quality than gold. It's beautiful. SI fucking smiled coldly. The ore you want to eat can sell for hundreds of thousands in Liberty Island. You can only eat gold. Xiaobai burst into tears. It looked at Yu Zion, but got no response. Si fucking squatted down and picked up a piece of paper on the ground. Ninth brother, what is this? Huh, Yu Zion turned her head and saw the list in Si fucking's hands. This is the latest list of money owed. Si fucking fell silent as he looked at the list with hundreds of names. She didn't want to figure out how much the list was worth. Tears of poverty flowed from the corners of his eyes again. It's no wonder that even her master wants to get the keys to the 8 mines, which is half the wealth of Liberty Continent. Si fucking raised his head and accused him, I hate you. What's the reason for this? You have too much money, I hate the rich. Yu Zion frowned slightly and handed over an ID card. It's okay, the girl can come over at any time. Xiaobai jumped up, immediately grabbed the card, and stuffed it into Si fucking's pocket. Si fucking. She's a really bad girl. There is still 1 day left for the inner court assessment, and the ranking will not change at this time. Nian Yian is still in the 49th place, stable and backward, and it can be regarded as stepping on the line. Yin Yaonian was waiting in the hotel arranged by the inner courtyard. He has not slept for 2 days and 2 nights, but this is nothing to him as an S-class evolutionary. Yin Yaonian stared closely at the big screen. Boom. There was a loud bang, and the door was knocked open at this moment. Butler Yan walked in, glanced around, and found that Yin Yeonian was the only one, and his expression suddenly became contemptuous. "Mr. Yin, right," Butler Yan nodded. "First of all, let me introduce myself. I am the housekeeper of the Yan family. The Yan family needs a place in the inner courtyard. This is also what the Huo family requested. Don't let us do it." Yin Yeonian said coldly, "Go away." Butler Yan walked in and took out a card. "Mr. Yin, the currency in this card is 10 million yuan in Liberty Island. You must not be ignorant." Yin Yeonian didn't answer, his eyes became cold little by little. "I said, get out." "Good morning. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 617. Yin Yeonian's reaction was unexpected by the Yan family. Before coming, they naturally investigated Nian Yin's family background. It is true that the Yin family is the three major evolutionary families, but it is really nothing in Liberty Continent. In particular, the Yin family didn't even have a fighting type S-level evolutionary, and was left behind by the Lotbar family and the Kukaki family early on. For 30 years, no one from the Yin family has entered the inner courtyard, let alone graduated successfully. If it were Lotbar and Deadwood, the Yan family would naturally not throw out a card directly, and would choose to befriend them. But the Yin family doesn't have such a big face. Butler Yan did not show any fear. "Mr. Yin, I know that you are from the Yin family. Maybe you are used to being outside and don't understand the rules of Liberty Island. It doesn't matter, the Yan family can teach you. In addition, we also hope that you can know that the inner courtyard is not a place where everyone can stay. Your Yin family has nothing to do with the eternal continent. The death rate of your son can be said to be as high as 90%. If you accept the card, we can even make a friend. Contacts are very scarce for your Yin family, right? The reason why the four major families are the four major families is because almost all the direct line members of the four major families can successfully graduate from the inner courtyard. This is inseparable from the foundation laid by the elders in the eternal continent, which allows the senior NPCs they know to take more care of their juniors and pass them on from generation to generation. Of course, Huo Shiyun is an absolute exception. She's too ordinary, and her brainwaves can't even withstand an eternity premium account. "Say, get out." Yin Yeonian finally raised his eyes, and he stood up slowly. "Can't you understand human words?" "OM." The majestic energy erupted, the air stopped flowing in an instant, and it condensed in an instant. All of a sudden, except for Butler Yan, the rest of the Yan family couldn't breathe. They only feel that the air in their lungs is emptied at this moment, and there is no air for them to draw at all. Butler Yan was horrified and spit out two words with great difficulty: S-level. He is A-level himself, and of course he can feel Yin Yeonian's suppression of his bloodline. How can that be? Isn't the Yin family an S-level evolutionary without a fighting type? Not only the S-class, but it has something to do with space. Who doesn't know that the evolutionaries of space, time, and spirit are the top group? No one in the Yin family has studied in Eternal Academy. How could it be so strong? Liberty Island has never paid attention to the affairs of other continents, so it did not pay too much attention to the Yin family massacre more than 20 years ago. In addition, the Yin family has not announced the return of Yin Yeonian to the public, and it is even more impossible for the Yan family to know that the Yin family once had a peerless genius who was directly admitted by the inner courtyard of the Eternal Academy. Butler Yan's cold sweat broke out all of a sudden, his breathing became difficult, and he shouted hysterically, "Shoot!" Bang! Bullets fly out. However, Yin Yeonian just glanced at it lightly, and his body didn't even move. The whole room was under his control. The gel-like air fixed these bullets in the air, making the weapons developed by the Intercontinental Research Institute unable to advance half an inch. Afterwards, under the terrified eyes of Butler Yan, these bullets were disintegrated. An empty shell that fell to the ground. Plop, plop dash. The people brought by Butler Yan fell to the ground one by one, their faces turning blue, apparently because they couldn't breathe and passed out. There was silence all around, but Steward Yan's mind was buzzing, and his mind became blank. Outside the free continent, is there such a strong evolutionary ability? Butler Yan didn't even have the thought of resisting, and he didn't have time to take care of others. With the only action left, he ran out like crazy. Want to run? Seeing this, Yin Yeonian smiled fiercely. Dare to come to the door, why are you running now? Did I let you run away? Return. Yin Yeonian raised his hand and appeared behind Butler Yan at a very fast speed, directly pinching the back of his neck. Butler Yan shouted, bang, and his legs fell to the ground. Yin Yeonian had released his control over the space, and the air started to flow again, but Butler Yan was still out of breath. There was only panic on his face, his eyes staring, unable to understand how things had suddenly become like this. Yin Yeonian lowered his head and asked in a very soft voice, you say it again, who did you mean when you came to ask for a seat in the inner courtyard of the Eternal Academy? Butler Yan opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word. He was cold all over, and even his blood cooled down. When he met Yin Yeonian's extremely cold gaze, he stammered, Mr. Yin, I. At this moment, Butler Yan finally realized that he had kicked the iron plate. But when they checked the information, they didn't find Yin Yeonian on the Yin family's genealogy. Could it be the secret weapon of the Yin family? Yin Yeonian's voice was cold, you can move me, move my son, then give it a try. He absolutely can't tolerate someone bringing attention to Nian Yin. The more severe pain came, and Butler Yan suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood and passed out. Before he fainted, he heard footsteps. Butler Yan struggled to remember, but his consciousness was completely plunged into darkness. Yin Yeonian naturally heard it, and his body tensed up instantly, like a beast ready to go. The footsteps stopped. Uncle Yin, when you saw the probe, she saw the person on the ground, but she was not surprised. Did it disturb your relaxation? Yin Yeonian restrained the breath on his body also relaxed, and nodded. It turned out to be Miss Yu. Yu Jian kicked the person on the ground. It's inconvenient for you, can I help you clean up? Yin Yeonian nodded and showed a smile, then I will trouble Miss Yu. It's not troublesome. Yu Jian clapped his hands, there are fewer people caught this year, and our performance must not fall behind. Otherwise, it will be bad if the year-end report is not good enough. Miss Yu, Yin Yeonian frowned, these people claim to be the Yan family, and they seem to have mentioned the Huo family. The Yan family, Yu Jian pondered for a moment, then slowly shook his head, I've never heard of it. That doesn't seem very important. As for the Huo family, Yu Jian comforted Yin Yeonian, don't worry about the Huo family, the eldest young master of their family is now my subordinate, and I have to rely on me to be promoted. If he doesn't obey, I can demote him. Yin Yeonian. I'll take it away. Yu Jian called the T18 investigator, and she smiled, Uncle Yin, I'm familiar with this place. If you have anything to do with me, don't worry about causing trouble. The T18 search officer was very quick and swift, and after dragging the person away, he thoughtfully restored all the furniture to their original state, and cleaned the sanitation. Yin Yeonian looked at the very clean room silently. He began to think about what kind of people I fucking knew. On the other side, the Yan family. In the living room. The Yan family took a sip of tea and said with a smile, with the Huo family as a guarantee, Guang He will definitely be able to enter the inner courtyard this time. Yes, Yan Yunping smiled. When Guanghe enters the inner courtyard, he and Xiaokong will also take care of him. Yan Xiaokong, the son of the Yan family, successfully entered the inner courtyard at the beginning of this year. Once the two brothers have laid a solid foundation on the eternal continent, there will be hope for the Yan family to be promoted to a large family in the future. The Yan family head said lightly, but I'm afraid that the other party is not knowledgeable, so I still have to prepare with both hands. Don't worry, big brother, I have already prepared, Yan Yunping said. I invited 2 5-star players, and they will find that Nian Yan in eternal, so that he can't get out of the game within the time specified in the assessment. The Yan family nodded. Not bad. Huo Shiyun has no ability, but she is very favored, and she is almost responsive. Climbing up Huo Shiyun, the Yan family's good days have come. After a while, Yan Yunping frowned. Why has the housekeeper been gone for so long and hasn't come back? You sent someone to see what's going on. The captain of the guard responded and hurried down. Half an hour later, he ran back in a panic. The head of the house, Miss Yunping, something happened. The housekeeper and the others were taken away by people from T18. It is said that there was a fight that affected the hotel's business. Fight? Yan Yunping was taken aback. The other party wants to fight us. Crazy. Don't know what the status of the Huo family is in Liberty Island. The guard murmured, I don't know, but the person was locked up by T18. When did T18 become so arrogant? Do they want to overtake the work of the Holy Light Judgment? Yan family slapped the cup on the table heavily. Yunping, you are going to deal with the inner court, and I will go to T18 to ask for someone. It's just an intelligence organization that is running rampant, and it's common in Liberty Continent. Could it be that the people in T18 thought they were direct members of the 4 major families or disciples of the top of the cloud? He wanted to see why T18 took away the Yan family. Yan Patriarch left with a cold face. At this time, under the pressure of Yu Zian, Huo Yangxing sent Sci-fi back to the hotel. Sci-fi was sensitively aware that a battle was going on here. After learning what happened from Yin Yaonian's mouth, she pinched her wrist, and her fox eyes narrowed slightly. Uncle, you stay here, I'll go home. Going home, Yin Yaonian was taken aback. What's the matter? Is there anything urgent? I don't worry about you going back alone. Let's go together when the time comes. He has long learned to be patient after fleeing abroad for these years. His fate was nothing, but behind him were Ye Zhenmian, Nian Yan and Sci-fi. For the sake of his family, he can endure anything. Unless the strength is high enough to crush everything. But the reality is cruel after all. Even the Huo family, one of the 4 major families, is under the jurisdiction of the Holy Light Judgment, and a mountain is higher than a mountain. It's not a matter of urgency. I'm fine, Uncle Sci-fi took it easy. I'm just going to complain to my master. His old man has been in a panic recently, so give him some work, or he will I feel uncomfortable all over. Want to enter the inner courtyard? Okay. Then see if you have the ability to survive under the 10 evil NPCs. I've been a little bit of Calvin lately. I'll add more updates to you after I've sorted it out for a while. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 618. Until now, the Eternal Game database does not have complete information on the top 10 vicious NPCs. Because 99% of the players either didn't recognize the other party at all the moment they met them, or they died. In order to explore the information of the top 10 vicious NPCs, the Eternal Academy also sent out several teams led by 6-star players, but it was a pity that one of them was killed. Therefore, only students who can escape from the 10 vicious NPCs alive can obtain the graduation certificate from the Inner Academy. The higher the student ranking on the Eternal list, the longer they can survive in the top 10 dangerous places. The Eternal 4 even set a record of 1 month, which no one can surpass. Yin Yeonian was stunned for a moment, and then he realized that the master Si fucking said was in the eternal continent. Si fucking waved his hand, "Uncle, if you need anything, just ask my assistant. She knows this place better than me. After all, she has been away from Free Continent for 4 years. This is a continent that is changing with each passing day, and countless changes occur every day." Si fucking picked up her bag, opened the door and left. Yin Yeonian was still sitting there. He pressed his temples and slowly exhaled. What happened today had a great impact on him, and he needed to take it easy. On the other side, the head of the Yan family has rushed to T18 angrily. "What's going on with you, T18? Why are you arresting people indiscriminately?" Family leader Yan shouted angrily. "Have you forgotten that only the Holy Light Judgment has the power to enforce laws in Free Continent? If you don't let people go, I will report it to the Holy Light Judgment." Roland put his hands in his beard and was not threatened at all. He squinted at the head of the Yan family. "Then go and report it. I have never heard of your Yan family's name. Do you think the Holy Light Judgment Office has heard of it?" The head of the Yan family choked. His face was livid, and he said angrily, "Then you are not qualified to arrest members of my Yan family. Release them quickly." "I'm sorry, people who have entered here can't even think about leaving," Roland said with a smile. "This is our performance this year. Who let you Yan family members encounter our superiors when they disrupt public order?" He was worried that if he didn't arrest enough people this year, he would be outnumbered, so Yu Jian sent over a dozen heads, which was really good. The head of the Yan family was so angry that he was shaking all over. You. Although the Yan family is a medium-sized family, it is indeed not ranked high in Free Continent and has no real power at all. The big family looked down upon them, so they had no choice but to please Huo Shiyun. But if Yan Xiaokong cannot successfully enter the inner courtyard this year, the Yan family will still be abandoned by Huo Shiyun. "It's a good idea to leave." Roland lit a cigarette, still smiling. "Don't let our officers catch your pigtails again, or your whole family will come in." The Holy Light Judgment Office mainly focuses on the top forces and families in Free Continent. How can it have time to control the Yan family? The head of the Yan family heard that the 3 top leaders of T18 are all S-class evolvers. In a real fight, the Yan family is no match. He could only leave with a livid face. The guard lowered his head and followed him. "Master, what should we do now?" "When the inner court examination is over, we will go find Miss Shiyun to come forward," the head of the Yan family said with a heavy look. "Then give Yunping a message and find a way to kill Nianyan in eternity. It is best to let him become a vegetable. The normal mode and sleep mode are linked to the holographic game. At best, the account will be permanently sealed, and at worst, the brain wave will be damaged and become a vegetative state. No matter whether it is light or serious, Nian Yan will never be able to enter the Eternal Academy again. This is the price for messing with the Yan family." 3 hours later, Si fucking was already lying in the game cabin, and her brainwaves were successfully linked. After carefully selecting a child's appearance, she jumped to find the Lord of the Ghost Valley. This appearance has no lethality or threat, and neither players nor NPCs pay attention at all. Si fucking entered the Ghost Valley without any hindrance. At this time, the Lord of Ghost Valley was making wine. Si fucking stepped forward calmly. "Master." The Lord of Ghost Valley raised his eyebrows. "Why, you don't like pretending to be a little girl anymore? You changed into a new costume today and changed to pretending to be a brat. I have already seen the outfit I wore when I went to rescue people last time." Si fucking shrugged. "The little boy is also very cute." Hearing this, the Lord of the Ghost Valley snorted lightly. "Traitor, you must be glad that you didn't disguise yourself the first time you came to me, otherwise I would never have let you into the valley. If the player changes the appearance, the low-level NPC will not react. But in the eyes of a powerful and high-level NPC with unique data like the Lord of Ghost Valley, there is no difference from disguise. After all, the eternal continent is a fantasy world. As long as you reach a certain level of cultivation, changing your appearance and moving mountains and seas are very easy and common things. Master, I know you are the best to me. Sci-fi clasped his hands together. You will definitely agree to my request, right? The Lord of Ghost Valley suddenly had a bad premonition, and he became vigilant. Traitor, what do you want to do? Someone wants to kill my brother, and is even preparing to make him lose his soul. Sci-fi blinked. Master, you also know that I am still recovering, so I can only ask you to take action. How brave! The Lord of Ghost Valley was furious. You don't need to beg me, I will definitely capture this scum. Dare to bully his apprentice's family, he is really looking for death. Where are these people now? The Lord of Ghost Valley was still angry. Master, go and deal with them immediately. Sci-fi gave Nianyan's coordinates to the Lord of the Ghost Valley. This is the first time my brother has come out to practice. I just ask Master to deal with the people who have ill intentions towards him. No problem, the Lord of Ghost Valley agreed happily. He raised his hand, and 2 wine jars flew into the air. With a bang sound, Sci-fi grabbed it firmly. The wine newly brewed by me can increase your cultivation, the Lord of Ghost Valley said. You can't drink it. Share it with your friends and family. Sci-fi smelled it and said, it smells so good. She wanted to put a drop into her mouth to taste, but found that it couldn't be poured out. The Lord of Ghost Valley said slowly, don't waste your efforts. I have placed a ban on you. You must not drink alcohol. Who knows, this traitor almost demolished his house after drinking the medicinal wine he brewed. Sci-fi made a grievance. Master, don't you have anything else to give me? I can eat and drink. Snapped. The Lord of Ghost Valley threw out a box. He said casually, there are some pastries in it, you can eat it? Sci-fi decisively put all these things into his luggage. Before leaving, the Lord of the Ghost Valley gave another warning, my good disciple, please do not go to the demon abyss recently. Demonic abyss, one of the 10 most dangerous places. Every dangerous place is guarded by a vicious NPC. Moiwan is the Lord of Moiwan, and he is also a demigod, on par with the Lord of Ghost Valley. Taking advantage of others, Sci-fi asked humbly, Master, please give me some advice. I recently had a fight with that old ghost, the Lord of the Ghost Valley said angrily. He has a weird personality and a bad temper. He also likes to eat children alive. I am afraid that he will be harmful to you. Sci-fi nodded. She thought to herself that her master had the nerve to say that someone else had a bad temper. The sun was really shining in the west. The most hateful thing is that I bet with this old ghost hundreds of years ago and lost to him. He actually had your idea at that time. The Lord of Ghost Valley became furious. He knew that I would definitely accept him. The beautiful female doll will inherit the mantle, and he will find a male doll, and when the time comes, he will marry me, but. Sci-fi. After a few seconds, she said slowly, so you sold me if you lost. Ahem, the Lord of Ghost Valley cleared his throat. Don't worry, as long as my master doesn't acknowledge your existence, he shouldn't try to blackmail me and let him and his apprentice be bachelors for the rest of their lives. Sci-fi looked at him coolly. The Lord of the Ghost Valley knew that he was in the wrong, so he gave one more warning. The tomb of the gods has been very turbulent recently, and many people have died. If your cultivation has not recovered, don't go there. At this moment, the Devil's Abyss. Lord Moiwan stroked his beard and looked at the young man in front of him with a smile. My good disciple, why do you have time to find me as your master today? Uzion stretched out his hand and placed a piece on the chessboard. His voice was warm and cool. I want to trouble you with something. No problem, just say it. Someone wants to cause trouble for my brother. Master, please give me a shock. Lord Moiwan asked in surprise, when did you have a younger brother? Uzion said concisely, we will be a family in the future. Oh, Lord Demon Abyss's eyes lit up, you found a female doll for you? Is she a family member of this female doll? Uzion nodded slightly. Not bad, not bad, I'm really proud of you. Lord Moywan nodded repeatedly, I was worried that you would be alone in the future, so I already arranged a marriage for you before I accepted you as a disciple. Uzion raised his eyes, is it settled? He is the apprentice of the old man in Gigo. Lord Moywan chuckled, he hid it well, but I know he must have a female doll as his apprentice. Uzion said lightly, no need. Naturally, this is your business. Of course it depends on your own wishes. Lord Moywan stood up, come, give me the position, and I will go as a teacher. At this moment, there are still 3 hours before the end of the exam. However, students all enter the game in sleep mode. 3 hours in real life and 30 hours in the game. Nianyan looked at the real-time rankings and chose to stop and rest for a while. He listened to Sci-fi's words, so he did not show all his abilities, but just ensured that he could enter the inner courtyard. Not far away, there was a 5-man team lurking in the bushes. This 5-person team was hired by Yan Yunping at a high price, and they are all 5-star players. One person said, boss, he's alone, just kill him. He's only 4 stars and has more restrictions than us. The young man narrowed his eyes and nodded, let's go over there. 5 people stood up. Just as they were about to move forward quickly, a person appeared in the middle of the road. This is an amiable old man. Ching Ching and your majesty have no idea how many levels of engagement they have. QWQ. It's time again to look at each other with big eyes and small eyes. 2333. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 619. His clothes are also very simple, with a mink robe and a hat, no different from the ordinary fisherman who is rafting on the riverside. The old man smiled, young man, may I ask? What are you asking? The young man was in a hurry to complete the task, his eyes were fierce, old man, get in the way and kill you. He doesn't have time to chat with ordinary NPCs now. These ordinary NPCs can't give players too many benefits, and each one is more troublesome. The old man hadn't said anything yet, when suddenly, there was a sound of thunder in a sunny day. At the same time, the sky was covered by a large area of darkness, and a terrifying atmosphere enveloped this small space. Head. The teeth of several 5-star players began to vibrate, and they were terrified. We won't trigger any mission, right? The youth also paled in horror. How is this going? Ha 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 ha, Ghost Valley, I didn't expect you to have such a day today. A loud laugh came from above. What are you pretending to be, old, weak, or sick? Ask the old man to tell me, do it directly, I'm not afraid they won't listen. Boom. Another figure fell to the ground. The majestic energy exploded, and the gust of wind shattered the surrounding bushes. The visitor has a pair of black wings, his hair is dark red, very messy, and his image is even a little sloppy. But no one dared to underestimate him. Because at the moment he appeared, a red warning box popped up on the system panels of several 5-star players. Name, Lord of Demon Abyss. Race, Demigod. Grade: Battle method. Weakness. Skill: Danger level, fatal. System remarks, it is said that the Lord of Demon Abyss can eat a child in one bite. A warm reminder, it is recommended that players do not use clothing that looks under 15 years old when they are near Moywan. Old Ghost, the smile of the master of the Ghost Valley disappeared, and the bucket hat and mink robe also turned into a gloomy black robe in an instant. His green eyes were extremely cold. What are you doing here? The old man can go wherever he wants, what does it have to do with you? The Lord of Moywan snorted coldly. Also, Don't blame the old man for not reminding you that the bet you made with the old man at that time is about to come true. The Lord of the Ghost Valley was furious, and instantly jumped like thunder. Bah, I don't have an apprentice, go to your spring and autumn dream. The Lord of Moywan laughed, I don't believe this old man, you must have. There was silence all around. The 5 5-star players froze in place, completely daring to move. Their eyes widened, their hands and feet were cold. They had never seen such a battle. One of the top 10 vicious NPCs, and none of the 10 6-star players are opponents. There is an absolute natural moat between the 5-star and the 6-star, an insurmountable gap. They are just mercenaries who do things with money. The Yan family gave them the money, and they took over the task. Usually, they all walk around the top 10 fiercely, so why did they suddenly run into the Lord of the Ghost Valley and the Lord of the Demon Abyss? What frightened them even more was that they couldn't take the initiative to go offline and could only wait here. Buzz. At the same time, the monitoring room in the Eternal Student. The monitoring screen suddenly began to flash frantically. Detected the appearance of a demigod-level NPC. Detected the appearance of a demigod-level NPC. Detected the appearance of a demigod-level NPC. The background setting of the game Eternal is a magical world. There are gods in the setting, but the gods have fallen early. So the highest level in the game is the demigod. To be able to become a demigod, it must be ranked among the top 10 vicious NPCs. In front of the monitoring screen, the young man's expression changed instantly, too. He tapped a few times on the keyboard and immediately brought up the in-game screen. The Lord of Ghost Valley, Lord of Demon Abyss, he was shocked, not good. According to the data, the Lord of Gigo and the Lord of Moywan are mortal enemies, and they will fight every few years. But a few days ago, the two fought each other and destroyed an entire mountain range in the east. More importantly, it is very close to major cities and has a high safety index. Not to mention the top 10 vicious NPCs, even other high-level NPCs would not come here to fight. Therefore, this part of the area will be included in the scope of the first admission assessment of the inner hospital. The Lord of Ghost Valley and the Lord of Demon Abyss both appeared. Could there be any changes in the Eternal Continent? This is a major event that will affect the Free State. The young man didn't have time to think about anything, and hurriedly left the monitoring room and went to the office of the law enforcement team. On the monitoring screen, the picture continues. The Lord of Ghost Valley is very impatient, I'm doing business, I don't have time to care about you, you hurry up. It's a coincidence, the old man also has to do business. Lord Moywan snorted, unfortunately, I saw that you were bullied, so I'll give you some face to come back. The Lord of Ghost Valley was even more angry, old ghost. Let the Lord of Moywan earn face for him. This matter will be passed on to his apprentices. Where does His Majesty go? Just Chuzi, dare to be disrespectful to God. Lord Moywan waved his hand casually, then go away. The 5-5-star players didn't even have a chance to speak, and they disappeared from the Eternal Continent forever. Bang! The game cabin was opened, and the youth stumbled out and fell to the ground. He was forcibly expelled from the game by the Lord of Moywan, and the brainwave link was also forced to break. The young man's brain was hit hard, and he didn't recover much. But in fact, the Lord of Moywan didn't make him feel any pain, he just wiped them all out in the blink of an eye. The young man calmed down for a while and finally took a sigh of relief. He lay back in the game cabin and wanted to enter the game, but his brainwaves could not be linked. His account was permanently banned. This means that he will not be able to log in to Eternal in any way in the future. If you cannot enter the Eternal Continent, you will be expelled from the Free Continent sooner or later. Damn it, the young man hammered the table heavily, his face ashen. He really had a lot of bad luck to meet the Lord of Demon Abyss. For this part of the loss, he must get it back from the Yan family. Eternal Continent. Lord Moiwan looked at the open space in front of him and couldn't help frowning. "Who are you showing your face to?" the Lord of Ghost Valley slanted him. "What's the matter, you still want to fight?" "No," the Lord of Moiwan frowned even tighter. Why does he have a feeling that the 5 people just didn't die at all? But it is clear that even their soul breath is gone on the eternal continent, and he is still very confident in his own strength. This is strange. Lord Moiwan rubbed his temples. Maybe it was just an illusion of his. "A fight is a fight," said the Lord of Moiwan, "but it's agreed that whoever wins this time will bring his apprentice to the other party's side to meet." The Lord of the Ghost Valley was shocked by his shamelessness. "Isn't this all taking advantage of you? Just say whether to fight or not. If you don't fight, I will let everyone know that you lost to me tomorrow." How could I lose to you? Hit me." 20 hours later, the Lord of Gigo and the Lord of Moiwan left the area, and Nian Yan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Before he entered the inner courtyard, he met 2 vicious NPCs fighting. Although it didn't affect him, it was enough to make one's heart skip a beat. Fortunately, the 2 great gods ignored his little shrimp. Nian Yan took another look at the real-time ranking, and suddenly found that his ranking jumped from 49th to 1st in an instant. Before he could understand what was going on, the assessment time was up, and all the students were awakened by the invigilators. Nian Yan walked out of the game cabin in a daze, and when he saw that he was indeed number 1 in the final ranking announced, his mind was confused. Has something happened that he doesn't know? The ranking is based on the student's comprehensive performance in the Eternal Continent in the past 3 days, and there is a systematic calculation method. He did nothing in the last period of time, just watched 2 NPCs fight for more than 20 hours. The door of the examination room was suddenly slammed open. Vice Dean, that's him. A mentor hurried over, pointed at Nian Yan, and said excitedly, "The Lord of Ghost Valley and Lord of Demon Abyss are fighting just 5 meters away from him, but he is safe and sound, not even a single injury." In an instant, the eyes of others looking at Nian Yan were different. Survived under the hands of 2 vicious NPCs. The vice president's eyes were hot. "How did you do it?" Nian Yan was silent for a moment, and he scratched his head. "I'm lucky, I didn't do anything." No, luck is also a part of strength." The vice president patted him on the shoulder. "Young man, you will know how important luck is later. We don't want the bad luck of our Eternal Academy. Only luck can make you smooth in the Eternal Continent. According to the regulations, the first place can choose a senior tutor." The deputy dean checked Nian Yan's information. "Speed, is Professor Lightning back?" "Let him come over tomorrow." The instructor responded and went down to prepare. The more the vice president looks at Nian Yan, the more satisfied he is. "Come on, young man, let's talk. Maybe other information about the Lord of Moiwan and the Lord of Gigo can be obtained from Nian Yankao. Here, the Huo family. Yan Yunping is asking Huo Shiyun for help to go to T18 VIP. Miss Shiyun, I'm really bothering you. When Guanghe enters the inner courtyard, you must respect Miss Shiyun." Small thing. Huo Shiyun waved his hand. "They did it too much. T18 can take advantage of the situation to suppress the Yan family, but in the face of the Huo family, it can only be low and small." Huo Shiyun got up and said lightly, "Let's go, the assessment results from the Eternal Academy have also come out. I'll check it out later." Yan Yunping was overjoyed and followed behind Huo Shiyun. In the hall, Huo Tianwen saw Huo Shiyun. "Stop, what are you doing?" Big brother Huo Shiyun was still very afraid of her brother. "My friend's family was detained by T18 for no reason, I'll ask." T18, Huo Tianwen suddenly felt that the name was a little familiar, and shouted towards the kitchen, "Yangzing, you just said you changed jobs, where did you go?" Huo Yangzing looked at Huo Shiyun calmly. "T18. Ask for a monthly ticket for the 2 masters, thank you. I'll add more to you tomorrow. See you tomorrow." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 620. The living room fell silent for a moment, and there was no sound at all. Huo Shiyun's footsteps stopped in place, her expression froze. After Huo Yangxing graduated from Eternal Academy at the age of 24, he rarely returned to Huo's house, and his whereabouts were very mysterious. Huo Shiyun originally thought that Huo Yangxing's behavior of not returning home would make the elders and Huo Tianwen dissatisfied, and thus disqualify him as the heir. Unexpectedly, Huo Yangxing still sits firmly in the first position in the family assessment in the past 2 years, unshakable. Huo Shiyun is jealous and hateful. It's not that she didn't rely on Mrs. Huo's doting on her 3 or 4 times, and gave Huo Yangxing eye drops. But how shrewd is Mrs. Huo to be able to sit in this position today? After being discovered once, Huo Shiyun escaped by selling her tears, and she never dared to think carefully after that. Oh, yes, Huo Tianwen finally remembered. He nodded. Who are you looking for in T18? Tell Yangxing. Huo Shiyun pursed her lower lip and forced a smile. I don't know what happened, Yunping. Why are your Yan family members arrested by T18? Her expression was weak, but her gaze towards Yan Yunping carried a strong warning. At the same time, Huo Yangxing's eyes also fell on Yan Yunping. He has been by Yu Xian's side for 5 or 6 years, and he has also learned how to restrain his aura. Don't say it, it's really good to be scary. Yan Yunping couldn't bear the pressure on Huo Yangxing's body, her legs softened, and she knelt on the ground with a thump. She kept shaking, trying to speak, but couldn't say a word. Yan Yunping's thoughts were a little hard to turn at the moment. How could the eldest young master of the Huo family work in T18? With Huo Yangxing's ability, whether it is to go to the Holy Light Judgment or stay in the Eternal Academy as a tutor, it is more than enough. Outside the Free State, T18 is indeed a well-known intelligence organization. But in Liberty Continent, it really can't be ranked. Just like Ji Yun of Ji's family created Oracle, a popular 3D game all over the world, but it is nothing in Liberty Island. Because the residents of Liberty Island have an eternal account. 3D games are nothing compared to holographic games. Any small family in Liberty Island is dozens of times larger than the Yu family. Therefore, everyone wants to squeeze into Liberty Island, even if it is only to get a permanent residence. Born in the Huo family, Huo Shiyun has an innate sense of superiority. She couldn't understand why Huo Yangxing gave up the opportunity to enter the Holy Light Judgment and went to a small place like T18. Crazy. But Huo Shiyun also knew that she couldn't help the Yan family's dignitaries. Huo Yan behaves with integrity. If he finds out about her abuse of the Huo family's name, she will definitely suffer. Huo Tianwen saw something tricky, and glanced at Huo Shiyun lightly. Where did you make these random friends? Yangxing kneels without saying anything. What the hell is in your heart? The tone of the last sentence suddenly increased, like a thunder blasting in Yan Yunping's ear. She screamed in fright, her body shook, and an extremely unpleasant smell escaped. Yan Yunping was so frightened that she became incontinent. To be the head of the 4 major families, the minimum requirement is to graduate from the inner courtyard of the Eternal Academy. Huo Tianwen is someone who licks blood on the tip of a knife, let alone Yan Yunping, a young lady from a medium-sized family. Even the head of a big family can't match his aura when he sees him. Huo Tianwen sneered, what a waste. Yan Yunping was completely frightened. She kept kowtowing, Mr. Huo, spare your life. Mr. Huo, spare your life. Huo Tianwen said lightly, I've cleaned up. Immediately, a guard stepped forward and dragged Yan Yunping down. Huo Shiyun met Huo Yangxing's gaze again, only to feel that some terrifying beast was staring at her, and her body began to tremble. It's been enough trouble these days, you're not allowed to go out of the house for a month. Huo Tianwen lit a cigarette. Don't worry, you don't have to think about going to intercede with your mother, let me stay at home safely, and you're not allowed to go anywhere. Brother, Huo Shiyun's expression instantly paled. Before she could say anything, she was taken out of the living room by the housekeeper. From upstairs came the sound of falling locks and vases, mixed with Huo Shiyun's cries. Huo Yangxing looked indifferent. Dad, if you have time, make an appraisal. What's the use? I've done it a dozen times. Huo Tianwen was also very annoyed. Your grandmother had fetal gas when she was pregnant with her, and her brain intelligence was also damaged. In the past, she was just pampered and self-willed. In recent days, she has become more and more unreasonable. Let me tell your grandma, and I won't be so used to her in the future. Huo Yangxing said in a light voice, I have nothing to do with her, just don't bother me. Understood, you are born with a black face, and she doesn't dare to look at you. Huo Tianwen remembered one more thing. I asked you to go to the Eternal Continent to pick up the tea from the ghost doctor, did you pick it up? Huo Yangxing paused, no. Then what are you doing here? Huo Tianwen kicked him, go pick up tea, if you don't find it, you are not allowed to come back. Huo Yangxing. Really, Dad? He somewhat regretted using this excuse. Huo Yangxing sighed and decided to go to Sci-fi to check his favorability, maybe he could get another box of tea. The next day, Eternal Academy. The list of new students in the inner courtyard has been announced. In order to protect the safety of the students and prevent them from being targeted by the revenge organization, all the information of the top 5 is hidden from the outside world. Nian Yan was under the key protection of the Eternal Academy, and the deputy dean even sent a member of the law enforcement team to follow him. The law enforcement team represents the second high-end combat power of the Eternal Academy and is also responsible for carrying out a series of dangerous missions in the Eternal Continent. At this time, in the teaching building, a figure suddenly appeared. It was a man. Because of its speed, the glass doors on both sides burst open. But passers-by are not surprised by this. In Eternal Academy, such a thing is trivial, it has not yet reached the level of bombing a building, and there is no need to pay attention. Professor Lightning. Hello, Professor Lightning. The instructor and the students greeted the man who looked very decadent. The man looked absent-minded, but responded casually and entered the vice president's office. Seeing him, the vice president smiled and said, Jesus, you're back. Lightning's real name is Jesus Hope. With a world-weary face, he showed no expression. I'm on a mission in the Eternal Continent, and I'll go back if there's nothing major. No, there is a big event, the vice president pushed his glasses. This year, the inner courtyard has recruited a student. The evolutionary ability is similar to yours. I want you to take him. Lightning is extremely indifferent, no time. He kicked the chair away and got up to leave. The vice president calmly spoke behind him. He watched the Lord of Demon Abyss and the Lord of Ghost Valley fight for more than 20 hours on the Eternal Continent, and he was unscathed. Lightning turned back suddenly, his expression changed. Really? This is detected by the monitoring system. The vice president pointed to the computer. The power of the Lord of Demon Abyss and the Lord of Ghost Valley is too great to completely capture their silhouettes, but you can see that this energy bar is their fight against each other. Energy generated. Lightning nodded, yes. This student is here. The vice president pointed to another place. He stayed for 29 hours. It was luck, but in our industry, luck is often more important than strength. Lightning couldn't help taking a breath. Where is the person? The vice president asked his assistant to invite Nian Yan over. Nian Yan just woke up and was still a little sleepy. Before he could fully open his eyes, he was punched heavily on the body. Lightning showed a little smile. You have a good body, you can learn from me. Ian, this is Professor Lightning, the vice dean said. he will be your mentor in the future. The academy knows that you are in a special situation, so you don't have to stay in the academy, but you must ensure that you have 10 hours of play every day. Practice. Nian Yian nodded, no problem. The academy will specially equip you with a new game cabin, and it will also give you exclusive equipment to facilitate your training. You can also put forward any other requirements. The deputy dean patted him on the shoulder. Perform well and strive for enter the Eternals list a year later. Having said that, the vice president sighed lightly. Only on the Eternal list. When will the top talent like the Eternal 4 appear? He shook his head, took out another card and handed it to Nian Yian. This is the student card given to you by the college. You can withdraw money at various banks, with no limit or upper limit. But if you fail the monthly assessment, you need to pay back 10 times. After seeing this card, Nian Yian's eyes finally lit up. Thank you, Vice President. Associate Dean. Money is the most useless thing in their eyes. Why did this kid lose money? The Vice President said earnestly, Ian, you will know that money is useless in the future, and we still focus on strength. No, Nian Yian immediately retorted, my sister said that money is the most precious thing. The Vice President said again. It turned out to be a family style, no wonder. Here, after Huo Yangxing left from Huo's house, he went to find Yu Ziyan. He glanced around, where's your girl? Yu Ziyan poured a cup of tea and said in a calm voice, go back to filming. So busy, Huo Yangxing frowned, by the way, I checked it out. It was the Yan family who wanted a place in the inner court, and they paid attention to your girl's younger brother. I also paid for a mercenary to make your girl's younger brother become a vegetable. This is really looking for iron kicks. Minesweeper is not so accurate. Yu Ziyan raised her eyes, the Yan family. Huo Yangxing snorted, I can't be ranked, but I definitely owe you money. Really, Yu Ziyan's tone was cool, it can disappear. Good morning. I will add more to you in the afternoon. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 621. These words made Huo Yangxing's heart tremble. It is true that there are hundreds of medium-sized families like the Yan family in Free Continent. But if you let a medium-sized family disappear in such an understatement, even a large family must consider it carefully. Yu Ziyan does have such ability. Just because the 8 major mineral veins are one of the main economic lifelines of Free Continent. Only Yu Ziyan has the key. Without the key, it is impossible to enter the mine. In this way, even if others want to pay attention to mine veins, they will not be able to do anything. Half of the forces in Free Continent owe Yu Ziyan money. As long as Yu Ziyan thinks about it, these forces can go bankrupt in one day. Huo Yangxing frowned, aren't you afraid of the trouble that the Holy Light Judgment will bring to you? They have been keeping a close eye on people recently, and there are people on the top of the clouds. The Yan family can't get into the eyes of the Holy Light Judgment Office, Yu Ziyan said lightly. Yes, Huo Yangxing said, but you have to be careful in everything. The Revenge Organization has failed to win over Qian several times, and you are already on their must-kill list. Yu Ziyan nodded slightly. Then I won't disturb you. Huo Yangxing stood up, I'm going to work. Oh, Yu Ziyan said calmly, go to work in T18. Huo Yangxing. He was a little embarrassed, Shi Yan, anyway, T18 and Ling are doing the same thing. It's the same wherever I am. I went to T18 mainly to find out why her memory disappeared. No need to explain. Yu Ziyan's voice was cold, your revolution has not yet succeeded, I understand. Huo Yangxing pursed his lips and tightened his jaw. He finally couldn't hold it in anymore, how about you teach me? Apart from work matters, Tsukimi never talked to him about anything else. For so long, he felt that his presence was not as important as the bartender with 8-pack ABS in the bar. Yu Ziyan raised his eyebrows, but before he could say anything, his cell phone rang. Brother Ninth Sci-Fi spoke in a brisk tone through the receiver. She asked, will you come back with my uncle and the others then? Well, let's go back together in a few days. Uzion chuckled, pay attention to your schedule when filming, go to bed on time every day, and don't stay up late. Sci-Fi responded one by one, then I'll wait for you to come back. On the side, Huo Yangxing was thoughtful. He took out his phone and sent a message to Tsukimi. Go to bed early, staying up late will hurt your body. Don't go to the bar. I also have 8-pack ABS. After waiting for several minutes, there was no response. Huo Yangxing sent another sentence tentatively. This time a red exclamation point popped up on the screen. He was deleted. Huo Yangxing. Why is his treatment so different despite the same words? Huo Yangxing had no expression on his face and decided not to believe Uzion anymore. He was going to go home to find Huo Tianwen for advice and ask him how he deceived his mother. The other side. Yan Yunping was thrown outside the Huo family's house by the Huo family's guards. She was so frightened that she waited for 2 hours before reluctantly dragging heavy steps back to Yan's house. After the head of the Yan family got the whole story from her, he was also shocked. Fortunately, the Huo family didn't argue with us, otherwise they would have suffered. But this also means that they can no longer have a relationship with the Huo family. And the other 3 major families don't have people like Huo Shiyun that they can contact. The head of the Yan family clasped his hands behind his back and sighed repeatedly. Yan Guanghe was very dissatisfied. Mom, didn't you say that the Huo family could help me enter the inner courtyard? Now that the list has come out, I can't get in. The requirements of the inner court are more stringent than those of the outer court, and everyone has only one chance to take the exam. Yan Yunping pursed her lower lip. I didn't expect the eldest young master of the Huo family to go to T18. After all, Huo Shiyun is not the person in charge in the Huo family. No matter how favored Huo Shiyun is, she must obey the orders of Huo Tianwen and his son. Yan Guanghe's eyes flashed with a hint of sinisterness. If I had known, I should have dealt with that Nianyan before the assessment. It's too late to say anything now. Yan Yunping sighed. You go to Eternal Continent to practice more, and I will find a way to help you find some secrets. Yan Guanghe is still a little unwilling, but when things have developed to this point, it can only be like this. He returned to his bedroom, entered the game cabin, and logged into the game. In the living room. When Yan Yunping was also about to go back to rest, an angry voice sounded, Yan Yunping. You caused several of our brothers to be killed by Lord Moiwan. We will not be able to log into eternity in the future. If you don't give us an explanation today, your Yan family will never be safe. The young man broke in with several other mercenaries. He strode forward, grabbed Yan Yunping's collar directly, and gritted his teeth and said, if it weren't for you, how would we have met the Lord of Demon Abyss and the Lord of Ghost Valley? Yan Yunping was so frightened that she completely forgot to reply. The head of the Yan family was shocked. What did you say? Lord of the Demon Abyss? And the Lord of Ghost Valley? Aren't these the top 10 vicious NPCs on the list? Even the inner courtyard students of Eternal Academy did not dare to face these 2 alone. Especially the Lord of Ghost Valley, whose evil reputation spread throughout Free Continent. Stop talking nonsense, the young man said coldly. Give us 100 million immediately, the currency of Free Continent, otherwise I will kill you today. Yan Yunping panicked. I don't have 100 million, and I don't want you to be killed. I can't even enter the Eternal Continent, so what are you afraid of? The young man smiled sinisterly. You don't have 100 million, so just use your life to make up for it. Wait a minute, the head of the Yan family stopped him in time. He smiled apologetically. 100 million, please wait a moment. I'll have someone prepare it right now. Mercenaries are all desperados. If a young man can say this, he can also do it. No matter what, Yan Yunping is his biological sister, and the head of the Yan family cannot just sit idly by and ignore her. The young man snorted coldly and let go of Yan Yunping. 100 million in working capital is a huge number for the Yan family. When the head of the Yan family sent the young man away, his heart was bleeding. He lost his wife and lost his troops. This is something that neither the head of the Yan family nor Yan Yunping expected. The head of the Yan family hates that iron cannot be made into steel. Can you be more careful when doing things in the future? Look at you. It's true that if you fail to succeed, you will fail. Yan Yunping murmured. She was very embarrassed and was suffering inside. The head of the Yan family was going to continue to rebuke angrily, but at this moment, the captain of the guard hurried in. Master. What's wrong? The family property has been sealed up. The head guard looked anxious. Even this villa must be handed over. Seize it, family leader Yan frowned. Who seizes it? He dares. He strode out, and when he saw the young man in uniform in the yard, his expression suddenly changed. Of course, the head of the Yan family will not fail to recognize this uniform. This is the Lord's subordinate. Lord is the honorific title given to the owners of the 8 major mineral veins in Free Continent. How is this going? A young man stepped forward and glanced coldly. Yan Tianyong, right? From now on, all the belongings of the Yan family will be taken back. In addition, you still owe the Lord 400 million. Either pay back the money or get out. From now on, you will not be allowed to appear in Free Continent. The head of the Yan family swayed, his face suddenly turned pale, and he said anxiously, it's not time to pay off the debt now. Now asking them to pay the debt will cost their lives. Whatever the Lord says, that's what it is. The young man smiled slightly. Of course, if you want to resist the Lord, I can also help you bring the word. Since the Yan family owes too much money and is unable to repay it, the Lord has reported the matter to T18. The head of the Yan family collapsed on the ground, cold sweat flowing down his forehead. Rebel against the Lord? Even if he had the courage, he wouldn't have the ability. The young man said calmly, take them away and send them in to use the sewing machine. At this moment, Yan Guanghe is practicing on the eternal continent, and he still doesn't know what is happening in reality. He was not convinced and still wanted to replace Nianyan and enter the inner courtyard. But there was no good way, and he cursed Nianyan all the way. Yan Guanghe is going to take on the task in order to gain favor with the NPC. He is not qualified to contact high-level NPCs and can only start from the lowest level tasks. Yan Guanghe picked a suitable task and was about to set off. As soon as he turned around, he saw a little boy looking at him with a smile. It was obvious that he had no lethality and was very amiable, but Yan Guanghe felt an inexplicable chill in his heart. However, he didn't see the little boy's message. Just a passerby NPC. Yan Guanghe snorted lightly and walked around without even looking. But at this moment, a huge force came from behind, and his neck was grabbed. What followed was a whirlwind of chaos. When Yan Guanghe's vision became clear again, he found that he was standing on a cliff. There are many white skulls on the cliff, which is terrifying. Below are the rough waves, and the cold air blows against my face. Yan Guanghe was so frightened that he shouted, "What are you doing? Let me go." Although this place is not included in the top 10 dangerous places, it is still very dangerous, and countless players have been buried here. Who is this little boy and why are you targeting him like this? Yan Guanghe wanted to log off immediately, but found that the offline button turned gray. He has been banned from offline. Only advanced players can do this. Yan Guanghe has a 5-star account, which the Yan family spent a lot of money to buy. Players who are more advanced than him. 6 stars. Yan Guanghe's expression suddenly changed. You. 6-star players are very rare, and most of them are in the law enforcement teams of the Holy Light Judgment Office and Eternal Academy. How could he be targeted by 6-star players? Yan Guanghe had no time to think because his feet were already off the ground. The gray of death shrouded him, and his nerves were on the verge of collapse at this moment, and he was incoherent. "Sir, please forgive me. I didn't do anything, I don't know anything." "You haven't done anything." I fucking patted Yan Guanghe's face and smiled slightly. "Don't you want to enter the inner courtyard? I will help you adapt to the life in the inner courtyard in advance." "Well, this cliff is where you enter the inner courtyard. I will take you to the next assessment place to try. How's it going? Are you satisfied?"